Hey,
Jefferson Glassie over here, and
Roy Wooten.
Roy Futureman Wooten over here, and you know what we're talking about? Fonging for the World.
Yes, Fonging for the World, a book by Jefferson Glassie, fantasy, myth, truth,
Hilarity,
inanity.
inanity.
I like that word.
Yeah.
Inanity. Define that one.
I guess it's the state of being inane.
Okay. Okay. Right. So all of that.
And music.
Yes.
Music.
Yeah, but this whole mystery of fonging for the world, this idea of fonging, is what this book is revolving around now, and it's
right, and we're going to talk a little bit about sort of how this happened, how Roy came to be involved.
Yeah.
And I'm so appreciative of this. I guess the first thing to say is I was so inspired by Victor Wooten's books. The music lesson, the spirit of music, changed my life.
Okay.
The power of music, I had never understood anything like that before about music. So it was really the inspiration for the Planetary Gig Society and all that we do. But his audiobooks just were amazing, you know. And when I heard Vic talk about, why not do a soundtrack for a book, have a full soundtrack for a book, I thought, this is really cool.
That's a good idea, right?
It's really good because, you know, a lot of audiobooks, they're just read by some boring person, one person.
Well, sometimes it's by the author.
They're good. By the author. Yeah.
I've heard some Gary Vaynerchuk books, and it's read by him, and it's like the author gives you more than is in the book. But still, it's
Eileen McCusick's audiobook is very good.
But the idea of adding another dimension to that.
Yeah. So Vic explained that he wanted to write a story, and he based a fictional story, and he based the characters on people he knew, and then asked them to read their parts. Michael, Uncle Clyde, all those characters, and it comes to life. And Vic was the narrator. So I just thought I really want to. For some reason I just was like, man, let's do an audiobook, Jeff. But I had to write a book.
You had to have a story.
You had to have a book in order to do an audiobook. That was like the first thing.
Okay. So
years ago, I had come upon this ancient art, which also could be like a party game.
All right.
A party game where called Fonging, where you take the rack out of your oven, you take some strings. We have the Live, Fong, and Prosper.
Different sizes.
Live, Fong, and Prosper strings, different sizes. And you hold the strings with your fingers. Usually you stand up, but you bend over slightly from the waist.
You wind your fingers so it hangs right.
Yeah. And you put your fingers in your ears, and then people tap on the rack with wooden salad forks, knives. You can really tap with anything you want. Screwdrivers, turkey basters are big because when you hit that bulb, you've experienced this. It's pretty fongtastic. Yeah. So I wrote this book under a pseudonym, Erasmus Caffrey. The angel came to Erasmus Caffrey to bring the healing sounds to the universe through fonging, because it makes these amazing sounds in your head, which are the healing sounds of the universe. And you know, it's kind of an instructional text, I guess you might call it. But when I had to come up with an idea for a book, I thought, well, I could write a story about fonging and just kind of make up a story about it. But I used sort of Vic's recipe, if you will, and I talked to a number of friends and musicians, characters, about, do you mind if I base a character on you? And will you read your part in the audiobook? And we have some amazing characters. Gaya Degbalola read her part. Kathleen Hooper.
You got their pictures?
Kathleen Hooper, beautiful singer, read the part of the granddaughter Aria. Gaya Degbalola as Ms. Joy, as Erasmus Caffrey. Sandro Shankara from Brazil, he had a role. Devi from India. And there's actually 18 characters.
Oh.
18 total characters. Put in about 6 songs. And a lot of sounds, because I wrote this book as I was writing it to be heard. And I swear, I asked the Spirit of Music, I said, help me bring forth this book. And I did some research and I did some study and I sketched it out and I just started writing, and whew, it just kind of came out.
It flowed out.
This story came out, and it's a little crazy, but you know, it's. I think it's based on some concepts that are really useful. For one, the power of sound.
Yeah, because you know, with sound in the beginning of every creation story is some kind of vibration. So I see fonging as another approach to this spirit of vibration. And what happens here that we can't hear on the cameras, when you put your ears in and you tap this little thing, all of a sudden it sounds like glockenspiels, and it sounds like gongs, and you know, like I'm in Indonesia, like it's really deeper than you would expect. And so I think we're experiencing again the magic of vibration coming to you in an unexpected way.
First there was the fong.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so yes,
it's a bit of a crazy book, but we prepared the audiobook. Michael Kott, the inspiration for Michael, who read the part of Michael in Victor's books, is the narrator. Amazing voice, amazing person, so brilliant. And Dave Welsh.
Yeah.
Dave Welsh, he does movie
soundtracks. Yeah.
And actually Dave came to me, so he said, well, if you're going to do a book, let me know. An audiobook, let me know. I'd be glad to help. Little did he know what he was getting in. Dave, what you were getting into. But it was a big project. We had sound coming from all over the world. I wrote the book to be heard, so I put in a lot of sounds. I tried to write in sounds that we could add in, and Dave did an amazing job. We were listening to a lot of it today.
Yeah. So when you say you wrote the book to be heard, it's really like you wanted people to experience the story, not just to read the story, but to be able to experience it, to hear it.
Right. I people can read this book. It's on Amazon. The 2 audiobooks, we'll get to that. But it's interesting to read, but the experience is hearing it. And so I wrote it to be heard.
Okay.
Michael did a great job. Dave did an amazing job adding so much sound. We have, trees swaying, and what were some sounds that you remember from hearing today? There are fonging sounds. I don't know how we got those sounds.
It was them walking off into the mist and disappearing into the next dimension. People walked off into the water and just vanished, and it was like, where did they go? And then people followed, and they all each vanished, and the sound of them vanishing was, it was very, very creative. Very.
So it's a little bit like a radio play.
Yeah.
And
also being Futureman, there was some future technology that let you know it was a bit in the future, when people are like doing phone calls like the Jetsons, except instead of on the watch, it's a hologram.
Yeah.
So they're hologging each other, and the sound of that holog in the thing was very experiential. It was good.
Yeah. Dave did a great job. It's it's very musical. Kathleen's a beautiful singer. And so that full soundtrack version is out. Dave put it in Dolby Atmos, so if you listen in headphones, which is the best way, you'll hear the people walking over here and walking over there, one character talking from here, one character talking from there. So it's a whole new, it's experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll get to the part that you played, because I'm so appreciative.
Well, yeah.
I did want to have some context. Someone put some context in this book. If you just listen to this crazy audiobook, what was that about? And what do you take from it? And I asked Roy, would you mind, writing and then reading a part that we put at the end of the book? Like an afterword, but we called it onward.
Right. It's usually called a forward for a book, and you said no. You wanted it to be after the story.
Yeah.
Afterward, or.
Yeah, I didn't want someone to start off the book saying, "Well, this is a great book about." I wanted the book to start right off with, "Here it is. The angel comes to Arya."
Yeah.
But afterwards, I did want some commentary, and I asked Roy if he would do that, and he wrote it and read an amazing, really wonderful onward part after that.
Yeah, and mainly the thing was with Jefferson asking me to be after the book, I wanted to feel the book and know the book, so I actually read the book. And to keep me on task, I read the book and recorded the book. Because if I start reading and I don't just really lay it down, I'll start thinking about what I'm reading, taking notes, and I can veer off. So just literally staying on task, reading the story. I recorded myself reading the story, and as I was reading the story, I was taking on the, kind of the characters of the roles that I was reading. I was like really absorbing. Here's Miss Joy. She's a black lady, so she's got a little vibe to her, her attitude and her sass. Arya, the innocent, wide-eyed, young lady. Then there's Erasmus and all these different characters. So I just kind of experientially went through it. So by the time I went through it and read the whole thing, I had a feeling for the story, and Jefferson liked what I was doing. So I ended up doing it for real. So now there is the audio book version with the soundtrack and everything. And then there's the version that I did where I was just reading the story. It's like a really personal, it's like two different ways of taking the journey. And it's a lot of fun, but that's why I got into it like that.
Yeah, and when I heard Roy said, "Well, I'll send you what I read, recorded the book."
Yeah.
And I listened to it. I'm like, one, my God, Roy Wooten's reading my book, and two, it's really good. Roy's really good. He has a great voice, great intonation, great. He moved with the emotions, with the characters. You could hear the different characters, the songs.
I got to make up some songs, or to interpret singing.
That a narrator wouldn't necessarily. Somebody's fonging upstairs.
Yeah,
Maybe could be.
We got some fongtasms going into upstairs. Yeah.
And there were a number of the songs. So even there's a song in Hindi.
Yeah.
And Roy the Lift Every Voice, which you did a great job on. I mean, a cappella, Roy Wooten singing Lift Every Voice and sing the Black National Anthem.
Yeah.
It's really moving. I mean, and I was listening to it again, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. I'm not even sure which audiobooks I like the better. Some people may say, why do two audiobooks? But truth and experimenting.
Yeah, we're just letting it be authentic, whatever it is. So
yeah. So there's the two audiobooks out. They're on all platforms where you get audiobooks. And we'll hope you check them out, because there's also, one of my goals in life is, in addition to peace of mind for myself, is bring peace to the planet. And so that drives everything in these efforts and in this book. And I also wanted to have an audiobook where every chapter somebody'd say, that was insane. What are they going to do next? And I think at every chapter you're like, holy smokes. This is some crazy stuff. They were at Rishikesh.
Yeah, where is Rishikesh?
In India, they were in the Amazon rainforest.
The Amazon rainforest.
And there was the Fong insurrection at the United States Capitol.
Okay, yeah, that was that. Yeah.
It was the Fongsurrection, and then to the
At least they're talking about that.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, they kind of led the Fongsurrection. It's very pro musician, pro music, but I think a lot of truths, a lot of things that I've learned in studying and reading all these years. So I guess that's about what we wanted to convey.
Well, I was just going to say something. You mentioned truth and authenticity, and earlier I talked about Gary Vaynerchuk, reading his book. And Gary Vaynerchuk he's a marketer guy. He's very, very authentic guy. And he just mentioned about what he felt like the world needed now, today. And this is one thing I told Jefferson when he was talking about he wanted to maybe do a podcast or something. How do you get started? I was like, well, you just start, and I just said that, I echoed what Gary Vaynerchuk said. Everyone's worried about how to take things to the next level. And he says, really what he thinks that we need now is more truth, experimenting, and authenticity, where people are trying stuff and you feel their authenticity. So when Jefferson refers to that whole spirit runs through this story, the way the book came out, the way there's more than one audio version, because that's authentically the way the journey unfolded.
Yes.
So we're letting it, letting you feel that
There's
truth.
one more thing, I guess maybe we can close unless we think of something else.
Yeah.
But Victor's books, the Victor's audiobooks are amazing.
Music lesson.
Music lesson
1 and 2 now.
And the spirit of music.
Yeah.
But Victor is Victor.
Mm-hmm.
And people would assume, well, Victor could do that. But who else could do an audiobook? Well, this old dude here, if I can do an audiobook, just think what musicians can do. Because musicians know much better than I how to cut up sound, put it into songs, albums, and if you do a soundtrack for a book, it's the same thing. You don't even have to write a story. You could do an audiobook on some technical subject, so that people could read and, hear what you're trying to explain to them about art or
an engineering book.
And anything. So in a time when so many things have kind of conspired against musicians, the streaming doesn't pay any money, live gigs, the pandemic, there's so many stresses. This is actually potentially another genre.
This is good.
Another genre, another a way for musicians to use their talents, their unbelievable talents, and really bringing out what's true about life, and making something of it. Another revenue stream, another creative outlet.
I have to echo what you're saying. Again, we met at my brother Victor Wooten's music camps, Spirit of Music, Theory Camp, this kind of thing. And there's another guy that I met there, Jordan.
Right.
Is his last name? Jordan Ranuels. Sorry,
Yeah.
Jordan. And Jordan had this crazy idea of he wanted to do an audio soundtrack for the whole Lord of Rings, right? And I said, man, you need to tackle that now while you're still young and crazy. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is like this idea that that you're talking about, of it being another genre where musicians are telling a story and bringing the music to the story and the sound effects to the story, is like a genre. This is where Mozart and them were when they would bring you the magic flute. The music and the sound is done, and then they bring the story to it, and it's not split like it is now. Now it's the director, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg brings that, and then they go to Danny Elfman and Hans Zimmer and these people to bring the music to it. But what happens when the musician brings the whole thing?
Yeah.
And this is a way of stepping right into it, I think.
Without even getting into video, paint that picture.
Yeah.
With your music, with the language, with the stories, with people you know, characters you know. There's all the technical things you need to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm really hopeful that more people would do this. I mean, as sort of initiated by Victor in this particular genre, and what I've been able to contribute and have in these 2 books, and I'm just really happy we're doing it. It's out there.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. It's meant to be completely crazy, but funny and meaningful and profound.
Underneath all of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's really there's a lot there in my heart, and I'm so thankful to everybody who participated in it. If we didn't mention everybody, I mean, Verdell Primo, 2-time Grammy Award winner, Native American singer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he read a part. It's and his wife and daughter, and it's really very excited about it. And so hopefully you'll check it out.
Well, I just want to say, bravo for having a vision. You had a vision for your podcast, the Planetary Gig Society, and you got started. You did it. Now you've done how many interviews since then?
100 and almost 40 podcasts.
Right. So more than 100 interviews later, he stuck to the guns. Right. Now you were inspired by this book by my brother Victor, and you did it. You walked into Jordan. He did the Lord of the Rings. I just saw him. Now he's doing Harry Potter, and he's doing another book series, and he's like grabbing this next kind of genre by the ears and by the thing, and really grabbing it. So it's neat to see musicians and artists going after what it is that they see.
Pushing the envelope. A lot of these audiobooks are pretty long. Michelle Obama won the Grammy.
Okay.
Her book, I think, is like 18 hours to listen to, because the long book is a long time to read. So this is pretty short. It's a short little book, as you can see. It's about 5 hours to listen to.
Yeah.
There's characters on the back and that kind of thing. But anyway, it's fun.
Well, I'm just glad I got to be a narrator. Michael Kott is, he's a real life guy, and he's the narrator for the full version.
Yeah.
But Michael is an interesting guy, and he is the Michael that is the central figure in my brother Victor's music lesson book. So interesting guy, and there's interesting connections, and it's nice how we're inspiring each other, how you're letting that inspiration.
Oh, I'm just so happy to do this.
And so there you go.
Thank you,
Fong
Roy.
on.
Fong on, yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, man.
Sweet.
Okay.
All right. I like it. And I got a shoestring that says live long, live Fong, and prosper. I got the shoestring.
It's there.